conferences cover a wide variety of subjects, but they have one thing in common, which is, how can I help myself? But ultimately, it's your life. You're the one who's going to have to figure out what's wrong in your life or what's missing in your life and what you can do about it and what you need to do about it and how you're going to go about doing what you need to do about it. And that's really what these conferences are all about. So today's conference, Seek and You Shall Find. So let me start by saying, of all the women who have registered to be on this conference, the age range is between 18 and 76. That's a wide range. And an 18-year-old is as much of a complete human being as a 76-year-old. I'm going to ask you to just kind of go inside yourself and think about this question that I'm going to raise right now. If your fairy godmother were to appear with a wand and says, I'll give you any 3 wishes, what would they be? Think about that.
Unlimited happiness.
To be expressing creativity every day.
To feel meaningful purpose in my life.
A pain-free, vital body.
I would say that every word that came out of my mouth would make peace.
Guaranteed health for my family for this entire life. And full embodiment of my gifts.
Rain. I would wish for rain.
Rain. Why would you wish for rain?
I would wish for rain here now. But also water as life.
All right, so I'll run down what we have. We want unlimited happiness. We want a pain-free body. We want guaranteed health, guaranteed for our family. We want to make peace with every word we say. We want a meaningful life. And we want rain. We want water, right? Okay. So I want you to do the next thing, which is think back through your life. And I'm gonna ask you, think about when you were a child. And then I'm gonna ask you, think about when you were, what shall we say, 25. And then think about when you were, for those of you who are a little bit older, think about when you were 35. And then for the rest of us who are even older, think about when we were 55. And so on. Okay, so let's try it that way. You know? When you were a child, maybe when you were 5 years old, and then when you were an adolescent, maybe 15, and then when you were 25, 35, 55. So when you were 5 years old, if your fairy godmother appeared and said, You can have your wish. Think back. What would your wish be as a 5-year-old? Can you remember what it felt like to be 5 years old?
Yes, I wanted to get rid of my siblings.
You wanted to get rid of what?
My siblings,
Why?
because it seemed like they took up, um, it seemed like they caused me so many problems, dramas, issues. They took so much attention from the parents. Just seemed less peaceful after they were born.
I would savor my imagination and develop it.
I would like my fairy godmother when I was 5 to make my mother happy and her behavior more predictable.
I just wanted to play all the time.
Uh-huh.
I just wanted a happy life, the same that I want now.
Okay. Wanted to be happy. Wanted parents to be happy. Wanted freedom to play all the time. Wanted freedom from the constraints of siblings.
I have something.
Yeah.
I wanted to grow up. I
Mhm.
was very upset I had to be a child
Mhm.
because I wanted to heal the world.
Why were you upset that you were a child? You didn't think you could heal the world as a child?
I just knew that I recognized really, really early on that people didn't listen to me because I was a child. I was very frustrated that I had to go through my childhood, and I can remember my frustration of going through being a child and knowing that I had to reach a certain age where people would listen to me so I could start doing what I needed to do here. I know that's a lot, but that's the truth.
Yeah, I get
So
it.
I miss my childhood.
You missed your childhood. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I was just so busy trying to grow.
Yeah, trying to grow up.
Yeah,
All your
yeah,
time. Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. What are the characteristics of childhood that leads us to wish the things that we wished for as children?
That we don't know about limits.
Exactly. You know, a child is spontaneous, lives in the moment, and has a magical attitude towards life. The child sees no limit to the amount of joy, happiness, playing, and also believes that anything can happen, anything can be achieved, anything, the child can create anything it wants in its mind for its own happiness, which is something that when we are, when we don't allow ourselves to be children, when we are children, we look back as adults and we rue the fact that we did not allow ourselves to really be children. Now, think to when you were 15, 17, 20, you know, if your fairy godmother came and said, yeah, you have anything you want, what would it be?
Mine was exactly the same as it was when it was a kid. Now, I know you're going to ask moving forward, what changed for me is when I got other people in my life that changed my vision for my own self. So, this is the conclusion that I'm coming to, because every decision, I'm 59 now, and every decision that I make now, I have a flashback to when I was like 18, kind of, and I knew that everything that happened when I was a child, and I had a good childhood, but a difficult childhood like many, but I knew that when I was 18, I could just live the life that I had envisioned and planned. But then I got other people in my life that had different ideas. But so now when I think back, I'm just always flashing back to like when I was 18, which is kind of weird to me. So.
No, it's not weird.
Well, it's delightful. Like someone a few years ago asked me what colors I liked. I didn't even know what colors I liked. I liked the colors that the people I lived with liked. Now I clearly know the colors that I like. And I think, how did I lose that for 40 years? So.
I wanted to run the world.
You wanted to run the world.
Yeah, I mean, the world was a screwed up place and I could make it better.
So now we have two people who wanted to make the world better. One person wanted to make the world better as a child, and the other person wanted to make the world better as an adolescent.
I wanted to see the world.
Okay. What else?
Travel, dance, sing, discover, be in it, take it in.
You wanted to experience the world, is what you're driving at.
Yeah, I also wanted to explore the world. That's why I got into an airline and I flew all over the world. Got to know many, many people, many races, and I loved them all. So I wanted to spread the love I always felt within myself.
All right. So then we all grew up. And as adults, fairy godmother comes around again and says, oh, here you are again. We meet again. Now, what is it you want? What would you like this time? Now that you're in your 30s and 40s.
I was actually doing what I wanted, and I find it very ironic that I'm here right now because I wanted to be working on healing the world, and I was a doctor at that time, starting to heal the world. So I was doing what I wanted to do. So that's my fairy godmother brought my promise and my wish to me. So
lovely.
That's my story.
Wonderful. All right, so let's go back now and look at how our wishes or our desires have evolved through the years with age. And we talked about childhood and how, children tend to live a magical life. And in reality, all children should live a magical life. But from just the few women on this conference, we already can see that childhood was not magical for a lot of children. And if we extrapolate to the rest of the world, then we see that childhood, which was meant to be a magical time, a time of absolute freedom, happiness, playing, connecting with the outdoors, is not accessible to the vast majority of children in the world. And it has nothing to do with their socioeconomic circumstances. Because even among economically advantaged people, the children, you don't see the children out actually playing happily and freely without a care in the home. They're burdened with, they have to do homework, to compete with their peers. They have to get the best grades. They have to have their lives scheduled. Everything has to be done. And there's a pressure on the children for academic and intellectual development at the expense of their inner childhood, their inner joy and their inner happiness. And that's a problem. And I'll explain to you why that's a problem. If you think about your life, if you think about life as a whole, life is, we can divide it into segments. And the segments are childhood, adulthood, and old age. You look at yourself and you think, when you were 5 years old, you were the same person that you were when you were 35 years old. And for those of us in our, let's say, 70s, when you're 75, you're still the same person that you were when you were 35. So what's different about being 5 years old and being 35 years old and being 75 years old? What's the difference? What's the significance? Why do we as human beings have to go through this painful process of growing up and then growing old? There's got to be some purpose to it. So what is the purpose? And that's what I would like us to think about, because that process is what drives you. There's a constant movement in you. You're sort of moving constantly, nonstop. We think of it as growing up and growing old. You look in the mirror and one day your face is completely smooth. And another day you look in the mirror and there's a wrinkle. And you can't do anything to stop it. Your hair turns gray. You can't do anything to stop it. In the same way that the 5-year-old child goes to sleep one day, wakes up the next day, and he's grown out of his pajamas. And even if he wanted to remain little, he couldn't. So nature, or something, call it what you will, we find ourselves in this process of development, if you want to call it that. We're growing up, and at the same time, we're growing older. And then we start to grow old. And during the childhood years and the adult years, there's a transition period. And that transition period is the adolescent years. Between adulthood and old age, there's a transition period again. And what do we call that transition period?
Is that middle age?
Right, we call it middle age. And so now let's just think about adolescence. Think back to your adolescence. What was it like?
It was tons of fun, lots of singing and dancing and running and playing and learning about sex and just very alive.
I would say torment and creativity.
Mine was fun and hopeful, and everything was looking forward, was looking positive and happy, and I was just looking forward to a wonderful life.
Okay.
Mine was exploratory and really interested in deeper meaning.
Mine was tumultuous, ungrounded, and lots of fun.
What was fun about it?
I just felt like I had the whole world at my fingertips and everything was possible, and there was a way of interacting with people and places that was just really different from my childhood.
Mm-hmm. So, of all the people who've answered, one person said it was tumultuous. I think back to my adolescence. My adolescence was also tumultuous for me. Tumultuous because I found myself trying to figure out myself, trying to figure out who I was, separate from my family, separate from my parents, separate from the other kids in high school. And not only that, I also was plagued with the question of what's this all about? Your parents make you get up and go to school. You have to study math. You have to learn history. You have to write papers. You have to do all these things. And it's like, what's the point? Why? Why do I even wake up in the morning, and get out of bed every day? And I think for most adolescents, it's a very turbulent time. And the reason it's turbulent is because the adolescent is trying to discover themselves, discover their own voice. There's somebody who said something like, I found that after 18, I only expressed the likes of people around me. So during the adolescent years, we're in this push-pull relationship with our surroundings, with our environment, with our parents, with our teachers, with the society at large. And the adolescent is trying to find his voice. But not only the adolescent trying to find his voice or her voice, but the adolescent is making his or her wishes known. When you're little, your parents tell you what to do and you do it. How many of us have had adolescent children? You tell the child, this or that, and what happens?
They push back.
Yeah, but how do they push back? What do they say?
What do they say?
Yeah.
No, or they ignore you, or they do it anyway, or
they're like
they argue.
questioning why do I have to do that? Why are you making me do this? It doesn't make any sense. That person's really stupid. I'm very present to that with my 13-year-old right now.
And I'm going to do what I'm going to do. You know, you can't tell me what to do. This is what I want to do. And the only way most parents can control their adolescents is with the purse strings. Really, when you think about it, you know, you can say to them, well, okay, then you go do whatever you want to do. But I'm not going to pay for it. And then the adolescent will either do it, do whatever they want to do, or retract because they realize that they're still materially dependent on the parent. But what does that tell us already? That the human being who is the adolescent is breaking out of the constraints and the control of the parent, but the parent isn't the only thing that they're breaking out of their constraints. It's really the constraints of the society, of the material world in which they live. And they're trying to express their own wishes. So let's focus on the word wish. What is a wish?
A desire.
A desire. Okay. A wish is a desire. Okay. What else? How else would you, what other words would you use?
I think it comes up when you feel there is a lack of something.
Okay. Why does a person have a wish?
Because they have a need.
They have a need. What do they need? The adolescent wishes to do such and such. I wish to go out with my friend Jimmy and to a rock concert and stay out till 2 o'clock in the morning. And the parent says, no, you won't. And the adolescent says, yes, I will. The adolescent has used a single word to express its intention to carry out its wish. And what is that word? What has the adolescent said that shows its intention to carry out its wish?
I will.
I will. Okay. You wish, but to fulfill the wish, you will. The person wills. So the word will is a verb, right? What's a verb?
An action.
Right, a word of action. So the word will is a verb, and the word will is also a noun, right? During the years of adolescence, the will of the individual is coming through. So I'm going to ask, what happened to the person who said, after 18, I found myself liking what other people liked, and I didn't even know what I liked or what I wanted. What happened? What happened to that person's will?
I got around stronger people that they thought their will was a lot more important than my will. I guess that's the only way I can explain it.
But their will was stronger than your will because you gave your will up.
I didn't know how to keep it.
Exactly. And for all of us, what has happened is that we subsume our inner will to the societal dictates. Does that make sense what I just said? We subject our will to the dictates and demands of the society. But what is the society? What constitutes the society? What constitutes the society in which you live?
Dr. Kenzie, I feel that the decisions I made that steered me away from my desires was really the pressure of, my father died when I was early. We had a whole family. I felt like I had to succeed in order to support them and model to them. And I feel like the pressures that came at me came from everywhere. They came from relatives, voices, the community, the church. I've got to take care of them. I've got to be strong. They came from school. They came from television. They came from, it was everywhere. And it definitely, what is one supposed to do?
Aha. So society, we just gave a whole litany of sources that all constitute society. Parents, school, relatives, church, friends, job, career, all these things, every last one of them constitutes societal constraint. Every last one of them. Siblings, lovers, spouses, husband, wife, best friend. It doesn't matter which, they all constitute societal constraint. Why is it that when we pass from adolescence into adulthood and become adults, there is not a single one of us that can honestly, truthfully look in the mirror and say, my life is carefree and I don't have any distress whatsoever. What is it that causes us distress? I would like to suggest to you that the source of distress for all of us is the search for true inner freedom. That freedom that is completely devoid of any constraint whatsoever.